Hello and welcome to Gentle Yin Yoga for our neck, our shoulders, our chest, and our upper back. And this will be a sequence of 2 different Yin Yoga classes where we can stretch upper body and then the lower body, and we can divide it up. So for this session, you will need a block to sit on or a blanket. Or if that doesn't work for you, then bring in a chair and we'll sit on the chair. And then we will also have a few poses when we will lay down onto the mat. And I think we can all do that together. So join me on your yoga mat and take a comfortable seat. So I have a block under here and I put a blanket over because we'll be sitting for a few poses. So here we are with our knees crossed, if that works for you. And if it doesn't work, then by all means do bring in a chair to sit on. For now, if the knees can be lower than the hips, then that is really comfortable for the hip flexors. So take your hands onto your knees, however you're sitting, and then we're going to drop our right ear over to the right shoulder and sink the shoulders away from the ears, and we can close the eyes, and we'll stay for about 10 to 15 breaths for these poses. And we'll just relax in. You might have some comfy, relaxing music on, or maybe just quiet and listening to your breath and inhaling and exhaling into any of the tighter areas. And just making sure that we're sitting with our seat nice and evenly stacked on our foundation, if it's the mat, if it's a block or a blanket or a chair. And also checking that our shoulders are stacked above the hips, so we're not leaning over to one side. And inhaling and exhaling, sitting as passive as we can, certainly without tipping over. We have to hold the structure, but we just don't want any other parts of the body to take the stretch away from the neck. And that happens if we tense up other parts of the body or muscles that wants to help out. Stay here for another 3 breaths. And slowly taking your right hand onto the right side of your head and lifting up so you don't have to use the muscles to lift your head up, and then dropping your left ear to the left shoulder, just sideways this time around, nose to the side. We'll have a few more options. Hips stacked, shoulders stacked, like a nice quadrant on top and below each other. Coming into that right side of the neck, ear dropping towards the shoulder, letting the breath come and go as it likes, passive muscles as much as we can. And when we let the legs relax, even if we're sitting in a chair, we start to feel the buzzing and the opening of energies in the feet. Inhaling and exhaling. Clearing the side of the neck. Clearing a little bit more of the circulation on the side of the neck, which helps us to untie those tighter knots. Scalenes is being elongated. Should be a nice stretch from that right shoulder to the jaw area. And we inhale and exhale. Sitting nice and tall on our foundation, spine is erected. Only bending from that side of the right neck over to the left side. Another 3 breaths here. And then gently taking your left hand on the side of the left head and coming all the way upright. And then we do it one more time, tipping the right ear towards the right shoulder. This time take the right hand on the side of the head and just with a little gentle extra weight on that side. Now we might take the hand slightly at an angle to the back and then tip the nose slightly down, which gets neck stretch in the side back of that left neck. Levator scapula, scalenes, getting into trapezius. Maybe we feel this one a little bit more from the left scapula up towards the base of the neck. Gentle hold on to the right hand onto the left side of our head, right kind of at the angle in the back. You might pull the chin in slightly, maybe pull the ears back slightly, and then sit nice and tall from there. We'll stay here for another 5 breaths, getting a little bit closer in towards the cervical spine, towards the vertebrae in the neck. And then taking your right hand on the side of the right side of the head and lift up. And then we'll take the left hand up and over onto the right side of the neck. And with a little nice gentle push and pull, we'll take that head over, and the hand has a little gentle extra weight if we so need it. And then take the hand slightly at the kind of angle at the back of the head, and then drop the nose down and get the stretch from your shoulder blade up to the base of the neck, levator scapula, trapezius, ligaments, tendons, connective tissue, and fascia. And we inhale and exhale, and we're still sitting nice and even and nice and organized with hips and shoulders stacked above and below each other. Relaxing all the other muscles, passive stretching. We're not holding against, we're not pushing into anything. We are just taking the neck stretch into a form where we can hold it comfortably for the next 10 breaths or so. Inhaling and exhaling right here, dropping that right shoulder away from the ear, pulling the chin slightly in, the ears slightly back. And one more breath here. And then slowly taking that left hand on the side of the head and coming upright. And then from here, we're going to take the block away, and maybe we're sitting onto a blanket just to get a little bit of a lift for the seat. I like to just fold it into a rectangle, and it's an art of folding blankets. Just make sure it's comfortable underneath you, and we'll take that for a different class and lesson. Take your right leg in and your left leg comes out to the side, and we're sitting one leg in happy pose and one leg in straddle. Take the block on the inside of the left leg and take your forearm onto the block. So the block is kind of right in the middle of the knee, before and after the knee. Take your left forearm onto the block, and it can certainly be in any direction, tall or medium or shorter version. And then the right arm comes up and over, and now we're coming all the way from the waist and up through the rib cage area and all of the ligaments and tendons that holds the side body all the way up towards the ribs. And we have this lazy ballerina arm, and getting into shoulder and getting into armpit area and the neck as well. And the neck is going to come in here in a little bit and come in a little bit deeper when we move the right arm around. For now, we stay here for another 10 breaths or so, and checking in that we are as relaxed as we can, and inhaling and exhaling. This is a lot for the lower back as well, certainly getting into the lumbar, super thick ligaments and connective tissue fascia that holds that lumbar spine together. And by stretching in there, then it's like we get a little bit of a big elongation all the way up to the shoulder, and helping to release into the spine and up to the neck and the shoulders. Another 3 breaths here. Checking in the toes, bottom of feet is relaxed. Inhaling and exhaling. And taking the right arm over towards the right side and finding that imaginary shelf for the arm to hang out. And then the left ear can come even closer down to the left shoulder. And we're back into the neck stretch again in a little different form. Long space between shoulder and ear. Long right arm. And we'll stay here for another 10 breaths or so. Dipping maybe a little bit deeper into that right side of the neck, the scalenes, deltoids, all the ligaments and tendons that holds those muscles and bones. Connective tissue, ligaments, tendons. The white-like structure is what we're elongating with, holding the poses longer. And another breath here. And then take your left hand on the side of the head and come upright and switch to the second side. Take your left leg in and your right leg out. Take your block over to the right side. Take your right forearm onto the block and take your left arm up and over, and bending your arm all the way over the ear, and inhaling and exhaling. Dropping your left arm, kind of like a lazy ballerina arm, and getting your stretch into the side body from the left hip all the way up and over to the rib cage area, into Costa layers, spaces between the ribs, around the shoulder armpit area. And inhale and exhale, making that nice ripple effect of opening all the way from the waist, side body, to the spine area, to the shoulder area, and then to the neck area. One more breath here. And then we'll take that left arm over to the left side and finding that imaginary shelf for the arm to hang out. It's kind of a little bit of a Halloween style. And then take your right ear towards your right shoulder.
Stretching into the left side of the neck. Scalenes, deltoids, levator-scapula. Ripple effect all the way in to the cervical spine. C7, C1, the whole area. Another 5 breaths here. And taking your right hand on the side of the head and coming upright. Extending the legs, getting some blood through the knees, through the hips. Come to straddle pose. And yes, we can have the block. Certainly, we can sit upright and just get a little blood through the legs. But I would like to incorporate the neck here as well. So if it's available, take your forearms to a block and let your head relax and hang nice and heavy and get the back side of the neck. Now we can also take the block away and take the elbows to the floor and take the hands behind the head and get like a little extra of a kind of heavy weight onto the back of the head. So whichever works for you. Back of the neck, round spine, relaxed legs. Inhale and exhale. Another 3 breaths here. And slowly walking your hands in and taking your hands underneath your knees, closing your legs. We're going to come to ragdoll, where we get to stretch the entire spine into the back of the neck. So you can take your blanket to the side for now, and then we'll take the feet mats width apart, hip widths apart, whichever feels comfortable. I like it wide for my hamstrings and adductors and lower back. Bend the knees. You can take your palms onto the mat. The key here is to relax the neck and letting the top of the head relax down. And for you who want that little extra on the neck, take your hands around the base of the skull and kind of hook your thumbs in. Relax your arms down. So yeah, now we get that long side body and the nice long ripple effect on the whole spine in towards the neck area. I might pull those ears back and tuck the chin in. We bend the knees slightly so the hips and the ankles are stacked above and below each other. And then we'll see if we can relax into the shoulders and have that little extra weight onto the neck to elongate into the neck, the ligaments and tendons, and having a nice release into the cervical spine and into the shoulder areas too, upper back area. We'll stay here for another 7 breaths or so, making sure our feet are nice and grounded and rooted. Hooking your thumbs around that base of the neck and getting a nice kind of just shelf for the hands to get the little extra weight for the head. Top of the head is towards the mat, ears are pulled back, chin is tucked in. Inhale and exhale. One more breath right here. And slowly release the hands and step back into tabletop, please. And we'll come into shoulder stretch, upper back stretch. So let's take our hands into tabletop. I'm going to start with my left hand. You can start with your right, your left, whichever works. Take your one arm underneath your other arm, so threading the needle pose, and we're going to come down onto the side of the neck and onto the side of the shoulder and scoop the left side underneath and take the top arm, the free arm, behind us, and then we're going to stay right here. We're going to sink on down onto that shoulder that's below us, stretching into the upper back, stretching in to the spaces right below the shoulder, the armpit area. And we'll stay right here and enjoy and just kind of sink all the way down. And even relax your toes. Nice and passive stretching. Inhaling and exhaling. Upper back, all of the muscles that we have in the upper back that has all those strong ligaments and tendons and connective tissue fascia that really helps us to move forward in every day and lifting everything and holding everything. Rhomboids are deeper in, trapezius, latissimus dorsi. They all kind of cross around the upper shoulder area, the bottom shoulder area, the shoulder blade area. So by holding this a little bit longer, we'll go in and adjust into the connective tissue and the fascia and even things out a little bit. And we'll stay another 3 breaths here. And then slowly undoing your top arm and the bottom arm, and come up and arch the back like a cat. And then we'll take to the second side. So whichever side was not under, let's take that arm and thread the needle pose is up next. Hips and knees are stacked above and below each other. And then we come and coil the opposite shoulder underneath us. And we'll take the top arm behind us and sink on down onto that shoulder, to the neck. Flatten the toes out after we found a good spot. Hips and knees are stacked. Stretching into the scapula area, below the scapula. Spaces between the scapulas. All of the strong upper body ligaments and tendons that holds us and moves us forward every day. We'll stay right here. Another 3 breaths here. And slowly making your way back up. Hands to the mat. Arch your belly and arch your spine like a cat. Release the neck. Come and find your block, please. And put the block third way up onto the mat. And then we'll put the blanket over the block. Make sure it's nice and even so it has a good fold. And some of you are going to put another block for the back of your head. We're going to do an upper back, shoulder, chest stretch. And so we're going to put our upper back, upper middle back, shoulder blades, they are going to be off of this blanket and block, and the lower back, the kidneys, are going to be off the blanket and block. So we are up in the upper back, and then we're draping the head down. Either you might have a block or a blanket there for support if needed, and if not, we're going to stay right here, and the feet can come forward, legs can come forward, grounding the femurs. Arms are up. We're focusing on the upper body for this class. However, if you feel like, wow, I want to put my feet together, then you can put your feet together and come to butterfly with your legs and fish pose for the upper back. We inhale and exhale here. We're going to stay here, and then we have one more pose where we're going to fold forward and stretch the back of the neck. For now, we're getting upper body, the whole front side opening up. If you have a bolster at home, maybe you're using that instead. But a block or a pillow or a rolled blanket, anything works great. Palms are facing up. The inner shoulders are buzzing. There's a nice, easy, gentle push and pull on the chest area, opening up. Levels for the breath, for the lungs. Give ourselves another 7 breaths here. Maybe there's a nice feeling for the shoulders evening out. One more breath here. And then we're going to close the legs together. Hands behind the head. and helping ourselves upright. And then we're going to come and take a comfortable seat, legs forward, caterpillar pose, which is a seated forward bend. This can certainly also be done sitting in a chair and simply tipping the head forward. But for now, we're taking our block with us. Some of you are going to put your head onto the block, forearms onto your legs. And some of you are going to put the block to the side and take your hands behind your head and fold forward. And you might have your blocks, a blanket, a pillow involved. So here we are, stretching the back of the neck, tuck your chin in with the help of the hands, or simply no hands behind the head. Take your version. I just wanted this to be like a nice closing forward fold from the seat all the way up, ripple affecting through the whole spine, up to the base of the neck. And we stay here for another 5 breaths. Tucking the chin in, lifting the ears back, accessing the back of the neck. And slowly releasing the hands and pressing yourself upright. And we'll take a comfortable seat, please, onto our block or onto our chair or blanket. Crossing the legs and taking a nice, comfortable grounding seat. Knees are below the hips so that the hip flexors are relaxed. The hands on the knees, and then we pull the knees in, and then we pull the chin in and the ears back. And we'll take a few moments to sit here together and just checking in with our feet, nice and free and clear, checking in with the ankles, with the knees, making sure the knees are free and clear, checking in with the quads, hamstrings, hips. Seat is even and heavy and supporting the whole spine. The ears are slightly pulled back, shoulder blades are dropping down onto the back evenly, ears back, chin tucked in. Elbows and shoulders are stacked above and below each other. And then we'll take 3 nice deep breaths together, inhaling. And exhaling. And inhaling. And exhaling. One more. Inhale, summon anything that we kind of brought up to the surface. And then we exhale it all out. Coming back to normal breath, hands to the heart. Thank you so much for joining me for this upper body yin yoga practice, and join me in the second version of this where we stretch the hips and the legs and the ankles. And I'll see you there. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and I hope you feel rejuvenated in your upper body. Namaste.